3rd of December 2023. It's Mutele Evans back again with another video. And this video is has been prompted by the presence of Kenya's most controversial YouTuber, arguably, or according to me. Well, his controversies are mostly around women, relationships, and marriages. But I have so many things that do not agree with him, and many others that I agree with him. I have a separate video for that. You can check out that later. But for now, let's talk about what he's here for. Kibe is in the country. Andrew Kibe is in the country and is here to launch for a mega launch of his platform called Yafreeka. Yafreeka, Yafreeka. And it's simply a social media, a video sharing social media platform. He's trying, of course, to rival YouTube, and that's what I want us to discuss in today's video. So the big launch is happening today. I saw one of his video he was using to promote the launch, and he says, he was saying that each of the people attending that event will be required to pay 20,000 shillings towards that. It's happening today, somewhere in Nairobi, not disclosed yet. I think the people with the tickets, and I don't know how many they are, know the location by now. I do not subscribe to most of his ideologies, and therefore I couldn't find my way to that event. There's no way I would be in that event anyway. But what I think Kibe is simply trying to do is try to show that he can survive, he can build his own social media platforms, which is not practical. But we all know what got him where he is today. He is six YouTube accounts, which he was using mostly to share his videos and have live shows, were recently deleted off YouTube for reasons we are all very familiar with. And for that reason, he has decided to come up with his own. And what I think so far, before we go any further, is that Kibe's strength is his weakness, is his biggest weakness at the moment. The strength of telling things as they are, sometimes being vulgar, sometimes being disrespectful, calling people out and being against marriages and relationships and women, has gotten him where he is today. And if you want to know what I think about him starting a new platform or having a new baby, I'm calling it a baby because it's just that. Her business is just a big baby. I must say that the baby is dead on arrival. If you want me to give you the answer straight up without beating around the corners, going around corners, is that the baby is dead on arrival. I'll tell you why. Stay with me and I'll share with you why I think that's the case. The truth is, what he's trying to get himself into is a tech startup. And a startup is different from an existing business model. Small and medium based businesses mostly operate on already developed and existing business models. However, tech startups try to come up with new solutions to new problems, and so they mostly fail. And tech startups, for that matter, especially in Africa, have been failing, most of them, in the first few years. In Kenya, for example, the last couple of months, we've seen some of the biggest tech startups fail, and that's the trend everywhere in Africa, I believe. So, but if you want to put this into perspective, think about the people he's trying to compete with. The Africa or whatever that name is trying to compete with the likes of YouTube. And to bring this into perspective again, YouTube is the second most visited website in the world. It's the biggest video sharing platform we have in the world. So trying to rival them requires a lot of muscles, guys. I do not think, leave alone Kibe, I do not think anyone in Africa has the ability to rival YouTube today. And I'll give you some stats so you get the scope of the problem we are trying to handle here. YouTube at the moment has over 2,000 full-time employees. And if you didn't know, YouTube is a part of the Alphabet Inc., the platform or the company that also runs Google, Gmail, and many Google Plus and many other platforms. And Alphabet has over 190,000 employees. That's a team of people making sure things run. YouTube alone, 2,000. And remember, some of the operations of YouTube, of course, happen at under Alphabet. So the 2,000 are the people making things run. Google has huge data centers, huge servers where all that video and all that information is stored. You can imagine, for example, storing those videos. Some of them are 4K, all right? Very heavy videos, GBs, terabytes of storage. That alone is a huge aspect to consider. But that's what Mr. Kibe is trying to rival. And I have nothing personal with Kibe. I used to listen to him when he was on radio every morning. But now he's trying things that are beyond him, if you ask me. So it's a video sharing platform he's trying to create. I've tried using it. I've checked it on PC, on phone. I've also downloaded the app itself. You can go try doing this and you realize it's very sketchy, for lack of a better word. It's very sketchy for a video sharing platform. What I will say, early enough, is that I do not think Kibe has a chance in running such a platform. Why? First, he has no professional background in IT. You will realize, and you can do your research, you'll find out that every successful tech startup, most successful tech startups are run and founded by people in tech, by IT professionals, people in computer science. Think of Facebook. The success of Facebook is based on its founder, who is Mark Zuckerberg. The success of Microsoft is based on Bill Gates, who is a programmer, who is a coder, who has been in tech, IT, since he was a small boy. And the same is to the rest of the platforms. Yes, Amazon, the biggest e-commerce platform we have in the world today. Jeff Bezos, who was coding while still a teenager, was still a small boy, when he was a small boy. That tells you something. That should send a message to you that it's impossible to run a successful tech startup if you do not understand tech. Just like it's impossible to run a successful media house if you do not have any background in media, or to run a successful hotel if you have no background in hospitality. It goes without saying. People screw you up, and that is exactly what people are trying to do to Kibe. They're telling him, you know what, you can do it. We believe in you. Give us some money, we'll create an app for you. That's easier said than done. I have been in tech for close to a decade now. In fact, my background is in tech. I took a computer science degree several years ago, and so I have an idea of what it's like to create an app, create a website, and such platforms. Creating one is one thing. making it successful is another. I'll tell you, anyone who went to school and took a degree or pursued a degree in computer science, a degree in IT, CT, CN, anyone IT related who learned about coding, simply who went there and did whatever took them there, can create an app today like Africa, can create an app like YouTube, can create an app like or a website like facebook.com. Simply they can do it. They can code such a platform, but it takes more than that. It takes a lot of understanding, a lot of ingenuity, a lot of creativity to come up with a successful platform like Facebook, like YouTube. It's not just something you wake up and do. I can code such a platform today, the person doing this video, but I'm telling you, there's more to it than that, than just coming up with a platform. So I personally think he has no chance, because it's not just about making one, and it's not just about making money. In a video he did, he claimed that the 20,000 shillings will secure you a share of Africa. He didn't go to the details to share how much we're talking about here, and that alone tells you he's not sure of what he's getting himself into. He's just doing another promotion. He's just being Kibe. And to run a successful tech startup, you need to be more than just Kibe. You need to have the details. You need to have a proper CEO, a proper team leader. I mean, when you see how Apple does it, yeah, and these tech startups are anchored by their founders. You think of Apple, you think the guy of Apple. Okay, Steve Jobs, because it was all about him. Even though he is long gone now, it all depends on him. One more thing is that he's trying to be the competitor of YouTube. And let me tell you who the competitors are. Number one is Netflix. Huge organization. 2 is Vimeo. Number 3 is Facebook. Facebook is also trying to rival YouTube, but they can't. They just can't, because Facebook is Facebook, YouTube is YouTube. And allow me to say this before I go any further. The world doesn't need another YouTube. We already have YouTube. That's how the tech world exists and runs. The world doesn't need another Facebook. It doesn't. Whether you're doing it for Africa, for Kenya, for Uganda, for Tanzania, or for South Africa, it doesn't. The world already has Facebook, the world already has YouTube, the world already has Netflix, unless you come up with another different innovation that is trying to solve a problem that exists. So the big question to ask Kibe today is, what is the problem that he is trying to solve in the marketplace? And I'm sure he can't answer that. So for that reason, I think we'll fail terribly. So we have the likes of TikTok as well. TikTok is also now a rival, especially when it comes to short form video content, and it's rivaling YouTube. But still, there are 2 different platforms, because the long formats or the long form of videos are still on YouTube, and that will be the case not just for the next couple of years, but for the next couple of decades. That is not changing anytime soon. Same case is with Netflix, unless they are willing to leave the market. And by the time they do that, we'll have a bigger company that is willing to do exactly the same things we're trying to do. This also explains why, and I know some of us have had this discussion before, the people who came up with the idea of M-Pesa today do not get much from M-Pesa itself. And it's a global sensation. But they didn't have the resources to bring up a team big enough to run that problem. And that's why they sought the services of Safaricom. We would not be having M-Pesa today if it were not for Safaricom and the rest of the innovations that we have. So I personally think Kibe is finally getting a dose of his own medicine. He has been claiming to be the guy who tells you things as they are, the truth, being honest, And I think he is finally getting that, because, for example, he claims that as soon as you get, I think, 20 videos and 100 subscribers, you start making money from Africa. It's easier. He can only say that because he wants to lure you in. Let me tell you, I do not think anyone is willing, all right, to partner with Africa to advertise any of their products. You know, the money people earn on YouTube doesn't come from YouTube. It comes from the advertisers, the corporates, people, the brands, people with products and services that are willing to spend their money to reach their potential customers. And if you want to know I'm honest, just show me one brand Kibe has worked with. You'll realize most brands do not want any relationship, do not want to be associated with Kibe because of his strong sentiments, his strong stance against or towards women, towards people. And you know, people are different. We can't all be strong people mentally, socially, and all the other things. So you need to accommodate people. And if the brands were not willing to partner with Kibe on YouTube, what makes you think they want to partner with him outside YouTube, outside the social media platforms? They won't. They won't. Safaricom will never want to be, and I'm sorry for mentioning these names, will never want to be associated with him. And because this platform is him, and what he's trying to promote is basically the kind of content he has been selling, then you can expect no one to spend money on Africa. And so you being lured to do your posts on Africa will have no one to pay you the commissions or the amounts they are claiming to be paying. One more thing I think Kibe needs to understand is that the regulations that got him out of YouTube are the regulations that make YouTube profitable. Without regulations, we do not have a business being on YouTube. I know we've been talking of escaping the matrix, bro. Without the regulations, there's no order. There's no business. Any country that has no regulations, it's a broken country. I mean, you're a citizen today, and there are requirements for you to become a citizen. All right? You don't just walk around killing people and expect nothing happens to you. So when it comes to social media platforms, the same is happening. And it's those regulations, those tough regulations that YouTube has, that make YouTube the platform that it is today. So you have to go back to your senses and accept that you have to toe the line, all right? And face it. Face it. There are things you can and cannot say on YouTube. That's what makes YouTube YouTube. Just like there are things you can say and not say on Netflix, and that's what makes Netflix Netflix. You won't find pornographic content on YouTube. That's why it's YouTube. It's not Pornhub, alright? It's YouTube, bro. And that's why people are making money on YouTube when people on Pornhub are not making any money. Alright? Did I just mention Pornhub? Sorry. Yeah. But that's what it is. That's what it is. It's the regulations that make a business. Do you know why cryptocurrencies are struggling today? It's because of lack of regulations. They are wonderful ideas. Wonderful ideas meant to sort a problem that exists. But without regulation, they are dead on arrival. Just like your program, Mr. Kibe. That's what I think personally, and we have many reasons why. I remember him saying that the reason we are not doing well is because we do not have startups in Africa. And yeah, we do not have many startups in Africa, and the reasons are out there. You know, a tech startup is trying to compete against the rest of the world. You do not start up a tech business and expect to only compete in your local area. You're competing with everyone else that is out there. And for that reason, you really have to step up and compete. You have to compete whether you like it or not. So in Africa, we're facing a lot of challenges. In fact, we can't even support our own economies. We have to seek or yeah, we have to seek help from other countries out there. But we have many factors that affect startups in Africa, including lack of experience. For example, you'll realize Kibe has never ever created a platform. He has never even created a game, coded, all right, programmed a game by himself. What makes you think you will build a successful startup, tech startup today? It's impossible, bro. If it was about the money, the people with all the money, they would be running huge tech startups today. It's not about the money. It's about the experience and your creativity. Then there's a lot of lack of resources, all kinds of resources. Of course, money is one of those, but we have others, including equipment. We do not even have powerful enough equipment to run some of these platforms. You'll find that even most of the servers we use in Africa are based in the US, in Germany, in UK, for the obvious reasons. We can't run them here. All right, we do not even have stable power supply yet, and we're trying to compete with the world. So it's better we be realistic here. Then there's a lot of corruption in Africa, and instability of our economies. You can imagine running such a tech startup and requesting people to come and finance you, and then the next minute the shilling, which was the currency your investment was based in, moves from 110, the Kenya shilling, to 150 within 6 months. I mean, how do you explain to your people, to your investors, that they have lost half of the investment just like that? That explains that these are some of the reasons why it's very difficult to run a successful startup here in Africa, not just in Kenya or South Africa or Nigeria. In Africa, it's become very, very difficult. Finally, it's lack of regulation. Well, regulation plus we are very tiny economies. I'll give you examples. Kenya has a population of around 50 million people. Uganda, Tanzania, an average of the same. When you go to Nigeria, I think Nigeria has around 200 million. So even if you put all these nations together, they would still not rival countries like the US, countries like China, India. And for that reason, we also can't really compete fairly with the rest of the world. All right, and then we lack regulations. You can imagine in Africa, every country has their own regulation, their own rules, their own currencies, their own there's so much about Africa that doesn't make it fit until we come of age and finally get to the level we can compete with the world. Then we'll be failing and we'll be losing against them. So in conclusion, what I think personally, it's good to dream. It's okay to dream. I'm a dreamer myself, but it's also very important to be realistic. There are things we can and there are things we cannot do. So let's be realistic as we dream. Let's dream as much as we want to, but let's be realistic with our dreams. Not everything can work out here. In fact, I'm telling you this, and you can take this to the bank. I do not see anyone who can rival Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, Airbnb, those platforms in the next decade. Same to Amazon, the e-commerce platform. Those are the biggest players in those industries. And the next decade is taken by those guys. Yes, Uber as well. I mean, Kenyans have tried, not just Kenyans, Africans have tried to rival Uber by lowering prices to levels they make losses and drivers are struggling. I don't want to mention names here, but Uber still continues to make profits. Why? I do not know. Well, some of the reasons I shared earlier here, that it's very difficult for a startup to operate in Africa and expect to compete with the rest of the world. It's impossible. And again, we've not come of age yet, especially when it comes to tech. Not just tech, even when it comes to engineering. You've seen some of the iconic buildings in Africa have been built by foreigners, not Africans, even though we've been building houses since we were born. All right? Our forefathers were building houses, but still we can't beat them. And that's a fact we have to live with. Even as we dream, we have to be realistic about it. So I think, Mr. Kibe, I'm sorry, I apologize, but I think you're failing terribly on that. Trying to create another YouTube won't work. And I'll tell you why. The reason WhatsApp succeeded, or the success of WhatsApp is based on solving problems that Gmail and other email platforms were not able to solve. All right? WhatsApp didn't try creating another Gmail or another email platform. They created a mobile messaging platform that was never there, not by trying to be them. And you can tell, you can see, WhatsApp has never become Gmail, and Gmail will never try to be WhatsApp. And that's why they coexist. Gmail will be there in the next many decades, WhatsApp will be there in the next many decades. I can give you another example. Yes. Threads and Twitter. Threads was simply trying to rival Twitter. And it's failing terribly, if you ask me. Why? Because the world doesn't need another Twitter. And that, by the way, explains why Elon Musk, with all his money, with all his prowess, with all his experience in the tech industry, decided to acquire Twitter instead of building his own Twitter. You get that? There was a reason behind that. He didn't say, you know what? I have enough people following me. Let me open another Twitter. The world doesn't need another Twitter. The best he could do is acquire it and then change it to his liking. And that's why he's doing good today. And that explains also why most people, most entrepreneurs, most investors, you find them buying startups or investing in startups instead of coming up with their own startups, because it's just the way it is. So even as you go to that event, if you're watching this video or if you've been to that event, if you've spent your 20,000 shillings, well and good, it's an experience. I mean, this life is all about experiences. But remember, there is more to it than that. So focus your energies where you are. If you're on YouTube, focus your energies there. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, focus your energies there. If you are studying, go back there. Do not be fooled that you'll become the next billionaire because you invested in Africa. It's already dead. It's already on its deathbed because it's not launching, if you ask me. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one. I have another video on the wrongs and rights of Kibe. I'll link it below so you can go watch it. The things they agree and disagree about him. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.